All right, guys, today we need to have one of the more interesting and important conversations in the entire CS2 market right now. Obviously, today we are in the midst of another little bit of a green day, another little bit of a rebound. I don't even know if this is up to date or necessarily refreshed or whatever, but obviously the markets are still doing pretty well overall. The markets are, sitting at around a $4 billion market cap right now. I know we're at like over $6 billion at peak, but we're also around $3 billion or maybe even a little bit under $3 billion at the bottom. But so right now, a lot of people are celebrating. A lot of people are saying, oh, I bought the dip and I'm up insane, whatever. A lot of people are reversing trades because they're being like, oh, I sold myself at the very bottom and now it's up 70%. Now I'm going to reverse the trade, whatever. But there is still something looming. There's still something very, very big and very, very important to talk about. And that is the fact that in like 3, 4, 5 days, we have some supply of golds that are going to be hitting the markets, stuff that is going to be coming very, very soon. And could this lead to another downward crash or, a second wave of this dip? And could things go even lower? Because I do think that is very, very possible. And that is definitely what we need to talk about today. But of course, first, just wanted to mention that I have been streaming over on Twitch. I don't think I have this actually pulled up right now, but it is going to be linked in the description. It's going to be probably the pinned comment as well. We've been streaming every single day. After this video goes live, I will probably be live for a couple hours. So, if you're watching this video close to when it first came out, go check us out over there. The streams have been going crazy yesterday. I think we had like 250 viewers over on Twitch. It's been really fun. And of course, as always, my cash trading business. I am still buying items. So if you are looking to, cash out any of your items into PayPal, crypto, cash, whatever, hit me up and we can probably get a big deal done today. With that being said, let's get right into this. So, I think there are very, 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 very good arguments on both sides. And here is one of those first arguments for whether or not we are going to see a second leg down, another leg of this market crash in just a couple of days. And truly, I think there is good arguments on both sides. I truly do not know what is going to happen. So ultimately, my advice, and I want one of the biggest takeaways from this video to be prepare for all outcomes. I don't care how confident you are or how sure you are that the market is going to go down in 4 days or how the market is not going to go down in 4 days or how we're going to rebound super fast or how we're going to rebound super slow or how we're going to hit new all-time lows or whatever. I don't care what you think. No one knows. And if you think you know, you're not as smart as you think you are. Nobody knows. These things are unpredictable. If we knew what was going to happen, or if these things were predictable, the market would already be moving in that direction or pricing that in or whatever. So Avenger here, he says more than 30,000 AK Legion of Anubis were bought in less than half a day of the update. That's 6,000 new knives. Again, 30,000 divided by 5 that you need for the trade up is going to be 6,000 new knives in the first few hours of the update. And these 6,000 new knives are only from this AK and only field tested. If we 5x these for all wares, now that's not how anything works. Obviously, there is not the same supply of like factory new as field tested or well worn as field tested or whatever. So I believe this post is a little bit disingenuous, and I'm not even saying to necessarily agree with this or whatever. But he does say, and I'm not even saying his math is necessarily correct either. I'm just kind of trying to illustrate some points that people are making right now. Some people act and share misinformation about how the supply of knives is still not enough. A major crash is coming on the 30th, no matter how many people, knife holders, and prices are going to get as cheap as never before and will stay at these low prices. Now, again, this is Avenger. This is a guy who also partook in the Stockholm pump and dump. This is also a guy who, was telling you to buy Renegade Stockholm stickers all the way up and whatever. And I'm sure he even made a lot of money during the Stockholm pump. So now I'm sure there's people who are going to be acting like he's some kind of market genius or he knows everything he's talking about or whatever. But some things you have to keep in mind is that not everyone who bought Legion of Anubises or, bought and sold or whatever on market, not everybody necessarily did trade ups with those weapons. Some people obviously are buying them to hold because they see these covert or whatever, these skins as investment opportunities now. Obviously, a lot of people were just cashing in on their stuff that had went up huge in prices. Some people are doing trade ups to their collection. Some people are doing trade ups because they want a knife and it's going to be their new play skin that they're going to hold and not end up selling or whatever. There's just a bunch of different options stuff here. But when we actually start to look into the data of what is actually happening, we have stuff like this from Koenig. I don't know exactly how you pronounce this guy's name, but he actually shows us the number of registered sport gloves that have been crafted since the update. Now, this was today is October 26th. This is this morning, and he shows us, you can see in some instances, especially in field tested for a lot of these different gloves, there's a lot of new ones of these popping up. We have 222 sport gloves, Knox popping up. We have 391 Vice gloves in field tested popping up. We have 53 hedge mazes. We have 214, superconductors, whatever. We have a ton of these different knives popping up, but you can also see that in factory new, a lot of these new gloves are not being created. In minimal wear, a lot of these new gloves are not being created. And that's what I think is funny. And people have started to dive into this data information a little bit and be like, oh, here is, Pandora in minimal wear, and it went from like 10,000 down to 6,000, or 100,000 down to 60,000, whatever, 10 down to 6. So we saw like a 40% drop in these, and that is because 0 new ones of these have been created. There are items out there that have literally had 0 of them created, yet they're having a 40% drop. So there's obviously people out there saying that, this is overblown. This is overstated. This does not make sense. And that's why we will not see another second leg down. We already saw the big leg down. We already saw people overreact. We already saw people panicking, and the data doesn't back up the amount of drop that we've even seen so far. So why would we see another leg down? Why would we see even more drop? Again, I think this is also a very, very, very fair argument. And, Fast and Fair, he also says here, people commenting that there's going to be a massive increase in supply when it costs $800, at least even make 124 in a chance of hitting a minimum wear pair. Yeah, guys, I'm sure there's going to be loads of people doing that. Herder, field tested supply increased massively anyway. Who needs minimal wear? Field tested trade up costs $750. Total registered crafted is under 40. Total already registered supply is 4,500. So yeah, guys, we had a 1%, a less than 1% supply increase is going to make the biggest difference in the world. So again, for some of this stuff, for a less than 1% supply increase that we've seen so far, we have seen a 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 85, 90% drop in some stuff. It doesn't really make sense. Now, again, I get it. Golds are now fundamentally changed. Golds are now not what they used to be. The system has changed, whatever. We deserved some kind of market crash. We deserve some kind of panic. We deserve some kind of stuff going down. But again, does the data necessarily warrant the fact that, a couple of things. One, does the data warrant the fact that we've seen as much of a drop as we've had and that we deserve to see as much of a drop as we had? But also, does the data warrant that we're going to get some big influx of supply to the markets in the next couple of days? And then you also have to keep in mind that, I don't know if everyone understands this, but if you have 5 coverts that are tradable, if you take 5 coverts that are marketable and you use them to trade up, then your gold that you get will be instantly marketable and instantly sellable. So even if we took all of the trade ups and all the new golds that have been crafted in the past like 3 or 4 days or whatever, still, I don't know if there's enough that to lead to the amount of crash and the dip and stuff that people are talking about. But you also have to keep in mind that a bunch of these golds have been crafted and have already been placed on the market. So that is even taking more fuel and more supply away from this hypothetical October 30th or October 31st or whatever date that people are talking about going into the future. And that is something that I think people are also underestimating. Now, this, is maybe more concerning or different in some ways, whatever. Koenig, again here, said number of registered Dopplers since the update. This was on October 25th, so it was like a day before. This information is a day old, not totally up to date, whatever. But you can see here, he shows how many different Dopplers and stuff have been being created. Now, again, in some ways, and for certain stuff, this is maybe, more concerning or whatever. We can see here 142 new Karambits in Phase 4 have been added. 104 new Butterfly Gamma Phase 4s have been added. 117 new Butterfly Gamma Phase 2s. A lot of new Butterfly knives, a lot of new Karambit knives. There is different stuff like that going on. But again, you also have to keep in mind what the total supply already was. And you also have to keep in mind how many of these things people have already been selling, because that is another tweet that I have somewhere in here as well. I don't know if I have it pulled up or not, but this is what Raffle Monster had to say about the situation as well. He said the volume of knives that has been sold in the last 24 hours is like 10x the number of knives that have been crafted. So that's another thing that people have to keep in mind. If you do think some big new influx or supply or whatever of knives is coming in a couple of days, you have to keep in mind that people have already been selling an insane amount of stuff. Like, first of all, people who never planned on selling their items that were never on the market before, whatever, people are pulling stuff out of storage units. People are going on their alt accounts. People are logging back into accounts that don't even play CS right now. They've been selling all their golds because they thought stuff was going to zero, because they were panicking, because things were going crazy, whatever. Items that have never been on the market or things that were never for sale in the past couple of days have become for sale. So again, we have seen a huge influx of gold supply being sold off. Obviously, that's how you lose $3 billion of market cap in 48 hours. You don't do that without a huge number of stuff being sold. So yes, a new influx of supply is going to be hitting the markets in a couple of days. That's true. We know that. We don't know exactly how much or whatever, but there is going to be new supply hitting the market in a couple of days. But that's going to be, nothing compared to the new supply of stuff that's already hit the markets in the last 3 or 4 days. There's people who have sold their entire inventories. There's people who've sold every gold that they own. There's people who've sold everything. And you can't sell every gold that you own more than once. You can't sell your entire inventory more than once. Like, once you've created that dip, that's all. There's no ammunition left. There's no selling left. It's not like, somebody that had 1,000 knives. It's not like they sold 100, then they sold 100, then they sold 100. Now they're going to sell 500 later. Like, no, if you had 10 golds and you sold them all, you don't have any more gold to sell later on. You don't have any more selling pressure to add to all of this. Now, again, we still have no idea what's going to happen. I'm not saying that we will not see a further leg down on the 30th or the 31st or sometime around then or whatever. I have no idea. I'm not claiming to know. But again, I just think there is definitely things on both sides that people need to take into account. Now, obviously, this has been a big point of discussion as well, whether or not the rise in prices that we're seeing today and yesterday or whatever is a dead cat bounce. Now, again, the main argument against this and the main thing that I have to say to this is people say everything about the markets. Again, you're talking about people who are doomers, you're talking about pessimists, you're talking about bears. And if you go back to the trade reversal update, you can look and see that the trade reversal update happened. And at that time, there was a decent amount of people saying, fuck Counter-Strike, fuck Valve, I don't trust them, I hate this update, this ruined trading, trading is dead, cash trading is dead, investing is dead, I'm never coming back to Counter-Strike, whatever. And a ton of people sold off. A lot of people did actually sell a good chunk of their items at that time. And we saw the day the trade reversal update came out, we saw the market go down and down and down and down and down for 6 days straight. We pretty much hit a new low every day for 6 days. Now, on that 7th day, the market started to rebound. And why the market started to rebound on that 7th day was because how trade reversal works is it locks up balance for 7 days or 8 days or whatever. So a ton of people who had done deals with cash traders aren't going to pay out until the 7th or 8th day. A ton of people who had sold stuff on websites like CS Float's not going to pay you out till the 7th or 8th day or whatever. A lot of that balance became unlocked on that 7th or 8th day. So, we had an influx of millions of dollars into the market on that 7th or 8th day, and that made the market start going back up. So there's 2 takeaways you need to have from that. One, a similar thing could happen during this. Imagine all those people who panic sold the day this update came out, the second day this update came out, the third day this update came out, whatever. They now have balance that is locked up for 8 days or 7 days or whatever from when they sold. So we might have a new supply of knives that are going to be hitting the market in, October 30th or whatever, but we're also going to have millions of dollars of unlocked balance that people can potentially use to buy the dip or buy their dream combination or buy their new setup or buy a knife or buy a glove or whatever. That's also going to be happening around that same time, October 30th, 31st, November 1st, whatever. That may offset, that might cancel out, that might, buying might outweigh the selling, buying might, be able to soak up the supply. I don't know for sure, but also you have to keep in mind that during that trade reversal update on that 7th day, as the market started going up, everyone was tweeting out, oh, do you guys know that this is a dead cat bounce? Oh, a dead cat bounce is going to happen. And a dead cat bounce is a fake up before another leg down. It's a trap. It's all the people who think we're so back and they start buying in and they start reversing trades and they start doing all this stupid shit. Then we crash right back down. And that's what a dead cat bounce is. But again, if you go back and look at people's Twitter accounts and what people have been saying, whatever, people during that trade reversal update were saying these exact same things. They were saying, hey guys, this is a dead cat bounce. This is a textbook dead cat bounce. You guys are about to get eaten alive, whatever. And then guess what? There was no dead cat bounce. The market went up for pretty much 3 months straight. We broke those previous all-time highs. We went to new all-time highs. People don't really know what they're talking about. And I thought this was really, really funny as well. Hilarious tweet here. Guy who learned what a dead cat bounce is yesterday. Okay, this is giving me some crazy dead cat bounce vibes. And literally, I laughed out loud at this tweet. It's absolutely hilarious. It is a banger. People have no idea what they're talking about. Again, could this be a dead cat bounce? Sure. Is this some kind of dead cat bounce textbook setup? No. And can you even predict a dead cat bounce while you're in a dead cat bounce? No. You can look back historically and see, oh, wow, that's what happened there. But in the moment, you have no idea. Again, if people knew in the moment, then these things wouldn't happen. Like, you would act accordingly to make it not happen. So it literally makes no sense. But also, more tweets about, the things that are being created. Vice Glove minimum wear 5K total dropped 70% because 17 got crafted, which is also about the same number that get created during a normal day of case openings. Olaf said 80% of people will sell their coverage for big profit. Trade-ups won't be that profitable because golds are down. The biggest crash was yesterday when people sold golds crafted with coverage owned before the update for like $10. Newly crafted golds won't have that much of an impact. But again, on the downside, there is real things happening right now. There is real things to be scared or worried about or ever because, again, factory new sport glove Pandora box just got crafted. These were worth $46,000 before, and now a new pair of them has spawned in a much cheaper and much easier way. So there are definitely arguments on both sides. I thought this was really funny what Critical had to say about the situation as well.
It's crazy the effect that this update has had on the market. It really is crazy the effect it had on it. I almost feel like if Valve came out and said, hey guys, we're shutting down Counter-Strike next week, it probably wouldn't have affected the market this drastically.
And that is just, somebody giving a take about how overly emotional and overly illogical the leg down and the huge crash in the market we already saw was. And again, at some point you run out of steam. At some point there's only so much the market can crash or go down or whatever. So again, will things be crashing in 30 days or on the 30th? I have no idea. Another argument in terms of things may be crashing is the fact that people are starting to get way too bullish, way too fast, in my opinion. Again, on the lowest of the low in terms of the market, this was like the second day that the update came out when we were at 3 billion market cap. This bearish and bullish indicator on Price Empire was about 80% bearish. Even at the very lowest tip of the market, people were max pain, max fear, max bullish or bearish. And again, when people are overly bearish, that's when you want to buy. That's when things are going to rebound. But now, 2 days later, now that the market cap is up to 4 billion, now we have 64% of people being bullish. And again, when people are overly bullish or more bullish or being too bullish, that's when the markets do have another chance to crash and collapse again. And again, like I said, you see a ton of idiots trade reversing and shit right now because their items are back up a little bit, but now they're going to be market banned for 30 days. And if their stuff collapses on them in that time, they're going to end up looking really, really, really silly and really stupid. So I don't know. There is very, very, very legitimate arguments and very interesting arguments on both sides. I can't wait to see what's going to happen with the markets over the next 3, 4, 5 days. But just, to be clear, there is no surefire evidence or anything that shows us what is or isn't going to happen. Nobody knows, and anyone claiming they do know, is probably not very smart. But we will have to wait and see what happens. The market could go lower. The market could crash even crazier, or we could have already found the bottom. We have no idea, but we're going to have to wait and see what happens. Pretty much it was video today, guys. Hopefully I catch you in the next one. Until then, peace.